Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Andy Makes a Friend. The show where I create campaign settings, characters, player options, magic items. I guess those are player options. Anyway, hi, how are you? Hope everyone's doing well. It feels like it's been a while since we did one of these, but time is meaningless anymore. So, I've not quite decided what I want to do today. So I'm just going to talk for a bit. And then I'll ask chat. Or let me ask chat now. So I can get some responses. We can do a couple things. I could work on player options. I haven't done that in a while. I could create a character in a system that perhaps we would play later. I have several options, which I can provide if anyone is interested in that. It's my game shelf. I can work on the Gracefall Campaign Bible or American Dreamlands. I'm leaning towards one of those two options just because that's what we've been doing lately, but maybe it's worth shaking it up and doing something else. So, I want to know what you all think, and I'll just talk for a bit. Although I will say there's not much to share because of everything that's happening. I have a dentist appointment tomorrow. That's very exciting. Getting a permanent crown. It will be my first crown. So, I'm thrilled about that. Let's see what options I got. Pardon me. I just got out. I moved it, didn't I? I just got finally in print. Pardon me. I just finally got Stars Without Number in print, which I'm very excited about because the PDF is very good. Okay. But it's very helpful to have a physical copy, I find. The way, this runs. If I was running in person, I think I could run digital, but because I'm trying to monitor kind of so much with so many different computers, it's hard. So I like having physical. I cleared off a spot on my bookshelf and everything, and it doesn't fit. So I have to lower this bookshelf because there are no books on this shelf. But then I also got from the Kickstarter Wolves of God. And that's a much smaller little book. And it's got pretty cover art. Krista said it looks like kind of like a young adult or children's fantasy book, which I agree with. It kind of looks like the Hobbit art. And that's a role-playing game set in Dark Ages England. So, I got those recently. Let's see what else. There's another book I got recently, but I'm still waiting on that. So, things. Okay, so systems we could explore other than Dungeons and Dragons today. Let's take a look over here. I have Blades in the Dark, not Blades Against the Dark. Blades in the Dark and Scum and Villainy, which are the same system. Ostensibly, it's called Forged in Darkness. Right? Forged in the Dark. And they're kind of like Blades in the Dark. Sorry, I'm reversed on my little camera thingy. It threw me off for a second. Blades in the Dark is kind of like Dishonored. If you've ever played those games. You're a kind of, it's Victorian-esque, steampunky. I think there's magic. And you're criminals in the criminal underworld, and you have to plan heists and stuff, and there are heist mechanics. I think it's like, I will say I've never quite looked at some of these. I believe it's like kind of a more advanced Powered by the Apocalypse system. Like it's a little more crunchy. And Scum and Villainy is a similar system, but you use it's you're playing Han Solo or Firefly. You're kind of scum and villainy. Either of those. I have masks, which we could always do. Although, never mind. Let's not do masks, because Power by the Apocalypse games are no fun if you're not building together. Let's see, Atomic Robo. You could build a D&D character for a different setting. Let's see, Stars Without Number or Wolves of God. Star Wars. Call of Cthulhu. Capers. Mechatron, which is about sad robots. Mistborn. I think that's 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So we could do that. Oh, and I've got a bunch of PDFs, but that would take me forever to go through. I did just get D6 Space, because it was not very expensive on Drive-Thru RPG, and I was curious about using that in lieu of Star Wars, because it is... You can't get Star Wars role-playing game PDFs. And D6 Space is the generic version of the West End Games Star Wars game, which I've heard very good things about. I haven't had a chance to totally dive into it yet. But what else was I going to say? Oh, but then I found out that to play the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game, which I am very interested in playing, and I own parts of, you just need to get everyone to get the dice, because the talent trees you can legally share with your players. So you would just have to do, I would just have to do like a session 0 online, where I kind of walk everyone through a lot of stuff, and then once they pick things, I can send them some of the stuff. There's so much to that game. So there's that. We're split in chat, unfortunately. Which I can roll a die to determine what we want to do. But yeah, any of that stuff. Oh, Mothership. I also have Mothership, which is a horror science fiction role-playing game. I have Whispers in the Dark, which is... It uses 5e, but it's a classless system. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I can get... Oh, I don't... Since this is a newer computer, there's not a bunch of crap on here. Hold on, I can look at... When I do that, it doesn't show up on... My Google Drive doesn't show up on right now. Okay, good. Let's see. Although this means I currently cannot see chat. Let me see what I have on my... vampire. I can make a vampire. Really? Is it? Done Mechton before. Mistborn. I don't know if I said Mistborn. Blades of the Dark Capers. I think that's all I have on my sheet. Okay. Well, let's keep all of those games in mind. For one, if anybody wants to play any of those games, and two, maybe next time we can focus on building a character in one of those systems. But then also maybe I could look at it beforehand, because otherwise it might be just a lot of me reading it, which is less fun to watch. Just let's do American Dreamlands, because that's the one we've been working on the most recently. I've poked at Gracefall a little bit off stream. I can't remember if there's anything super weighty that I changed other than cleaning up some stuff. I think I just cleaned up some stuff. I created a calendar, which is a dumb idea. Because your players are never going to remember, and you're never going to remember. Which is why the Forgotten Realms doesn't have days of the week, I think. Because it's just easier to not pretend like we don't know the days of the week. Okay. American Dreamlands. So where we left off, I also thought a little bit about this in between sessions. And I think I came up with something I like. And it's something we've been kind of dancing around. But I don't know if we're quite there yet. I still feel like we're setting this up. And once it's set up and I kind of know what's happening, I'll much better be able to prepare a campaign in this setting. Like, I think right now I could be like, players, create a character, and everybody would kind of fall in and be able to create one. But I don't think I can create the campaign until I have a better understanding of the world. Because that's my character, you know. That's how I like to think of it. It's you know, when you create a character, when you create a player character, it's not important some of the background stuff that players fill in, but they fill it in because it's important to them. Same thing with a world for me. Some of this stuff might never be important. It may never come up. It makes me feel good to know it's there. It lets me more readily be able to just make stuff up if I know what certain things are like. And that has become much more my DM style than it used to be. I used to write everything out. And now I'm a lot more off the cuff. Okay. So, the very basics of American Dreamlands that we have to get to. This is the end game where the campaign starts. Is that... Where are we? Every god that has ever existed has been eaten by great old ones, except for one, Columbia, the goddess of the American dream and democracy. So I think what the thing is with this is I'm not going to create like a proper pantheon. It's that all gods have been true. You know, Loki, Thor, Zeus, they were all at some point gods. They fell out of favor and they were eaten. And then certain, you know, the American gods idea of belief power, well, it's not just American gods, but, you know, the idea that belief powers gods, and in the American god sense, that means that certain things become gods. Like, God, I never watched the show, and it's been a while since I read the book. But, like, there's a techno boy, or whatever his name is. Like, the technology god. It's, well, you know, there's not... we don't actually worship Technos, god of technology. There is a technology god, though, because everybody believes in the power of technology. So that kind of thing. It creates gods out of belief. So, Columbia is the god of sort of American dreams and democracy. I think we're going to get rid of the magic part. Because here's the thing that I kind of came to. The personification of the internet. Was that true in the book, too? I feel like the book kind of predated popular internet. Well, he would have just been a different personification of the internet. But his name was like... his name was something dumb, right? I'm going to look it up. Wikipedia. Another episode where Andy just looks things up on Wikipedia. American gods. I can spell new gods. Technical boy. Yeah. New god of technology and the internet. Personified as an adult-sized child. Is that what he's called? Is that what he's called in the TV show too? Let's see. As technical boy. Yep. Okay. I didn't have stars, so I never watched American Gods. I like Brian Fuller, but he got fired. Also, we crushed Brian Fuller's soul, so I don't know if I like Brian Fuller anymore. He gave us a bunch of whimsical shows about nice, quirky people, and nobody watched them, so then he made Hannibal. So, yeah. Okay. So, what was I? Oh, so the thing I kind of thought about off stream, and we were kind of dancing around some of this stuff. Magic is a closely guarded secret. Magic's forgotten. Sort of that onward idea. During the build-up to the war, magic is rediscovered. Onward. So, opinions change after the war, especially catastrophic events. Public sentiment could just simply turn against magic after the atrocities of the war. So, I think maybe an easier way to kind of explain some of this stuff is there was a glamour over the planet before World War I. So nobody knew. I get it. Whatever. Sorry. There was a glamour over the planet before World War I. So centaurs and elves existed. They just looked like people. Unexplained phenomenon could be accounted for by people. They were just things that people ignored or kind of thought away. During World War I, the Central Powers cast some spell in an effort to win the war that shatters the glamour. So then, now walking around are tieflings and orcs and halflings, gnomes, that kind of thing. And magic is revealed to be real. But so I have written down here. The glamour is over. During the Great War, the Central Powers, in an effort to win the war, have broken the glamour which protects the world from magic, and all that was hidden before is made clear. The peoples of the world now see the true threat to peace after the war is magic. And America is the first nation to outlaw the once secret and forbidden use of magic, even as these magical beings now have to publicly come into common society. I don't know if this maybe touches on some of the same ideas as Suburbia, but I think because if it's after the war, if it's set in like the mid-20s, everyone's kind of gotten used to this. Like, it's been 5 years. So, yeah, it's just, now we know there are elves. There are bug people. Gross. Alternatively, it could be more like Shadowrun, where during... But this also kind of plays into a different angle of what we're doing in Suburbia, but there are only so many ideas. And I don't want a slight similarity to push us off of something that might be fun once you get past that. And it would still be different once you get past that. It's a very different game. The other thing could be, it could be set in the same world as... I never thought of that. It could be set in Suburbia in a different time period. That's an idea, but I don't know if that... One, we'd have to get rid of the name. Two, that kind of... I've messed with the idea of setting campaigns in different time periods before, but then the problem is you come into the idea that sort of it takes away almost player character agency, because if they screw up in such a way that it destroys the world and you're playing in the future of that world, then you've implied that their decisions don't matter. Or if they've saved the world and you're playing in a world, it's the Star Wars. It's the Star Wars problem. you don't, if you mess with stuff up to a point, you already know what's going to happen, and that makes things weird in a game. It's less weird in a story. It's more weird in a game where you have players. Anyway, another thought is not destroying the glamour, but in a more Shadowrun way, the central powers cast a spell. They've discovered magic. They cast a spell. It unleashes a wave of magic that changes some people, or it lets people in, kind of thing. And it opens the world to magic, and then everyone's like, nope, we're not doing magic. Like, that's done. So then there's prohibition of magic. So I don't know if we think there's any meat on either of those, or if we want to kind of go back to just messing with something else. And then the other idea is simply that and this was touched on way back when we started doing this stuff. 3 episodes of this ago, although I realized I haven't uploaded one of these to YouTube. 3 episodes ago when we started talking about this. I could also just have it so that there are only certain player races. Humans, tieflings, elves, kind of human passing races, like where you're like, oh, well, you're just a human who has devilish blood. It still manifests itself in certain, like, hellish rebuke and stuff like that, but you look like a human. You might look, fire might cross your eyes every once in a while. In certain shadows, you might have horns, kind of thing. ASMR, half-elves. You kind of have elven features. Lots of humans have elven features. They cast them as elves in the Lord of the Rings movies most of the time. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I kind of just want to... I feel like we're really close here. Yeah, I feel like we're really close. And I just want to, I think we just need to lock in a couple things, and it can push us over the edge, and I would feel comfortable starting to run this. But like I said at the beginning, I like to know a lot of this background stuff. Not that it necessarily affects players or player choice. It just makes me feel comfortable to improvise and let players do stuff and let them change stuff. It's the setting is my character. It's my character's backstory. It may not come up, and it may not be important to anybody else, but it's important to me. Okay, so let's list some options. Okay, so this is the most important thing. I'm going to make it red. Red. I'm going to make it bigger. Okay. Oops. Let's do bullets. Option 1. Human only. I should be reading this a lot. Option 1, human only setting, quote, a setting where player race is restricted and it's mostly just and it's mostly just normal timeline. Okay, let me hold on. Up here, I said this at the beginning of the gods. The X-gods. All gods have been true, and certain ideals and beliefs have such strong zeal, they become and personifications. They become basically gods, i.e. the American dream. Option 2. Magic has always been real, but the glamour restricting it and protecting the world was broken by the Central Powers in the Great War. Magic was associated with war crimes and thus wildly unpopular, leading to its... And I see chats talking and lots of long bits, so I'm going to go back and read it in a second. Widely unpopular, leading to its ban in America first. And option 3, the spell that Central Powers cast created and unleashed magic in the world, altering people and unleashed magic in the world. The spell the Central Powers cast created and unleashed magic in the world, altering people and... What is the second part of the sentence? And creating a connection to the stars that allows people to access once forgotten and powerful techniques. Okay. Let me scroll up. I think there's something... Okay, Marty. Let's see, Marty in chat. I think there's something unique in making it a largely human-only setting. That's part of what's restrictive and Lovecrafty about it. Elves and stuff could be weird again. Just a thought. Okay. Liz. I think the problem with having magic discovered after World War I is that America was going through an economic boom, which I think magic would exacerbate and wouldn't have the same scrutiny and run-up that the temperance movement got during the 20s. Well, right after World War I is also the Great Depression. So, you know, we're not in the Great Depression, because I keep kind of circling 1924 as the year I'm going to set this. But we're leading up to it. And, you know, the bubble's going to burst. So I think magic would have an interesting effect on that. But we're also going through, you know, a time period where workers don't have certain rights. And would magic make that better or worse? Would it make the workplace safer or more dangerous? But yeah, if magic is new, it I see what you're saying, Liz. But if magic is new, it doesn't have that sort of long build up that the temperance movement has, and it's not it's not being associated with certain societal ills for so long. But I do think that's why it has to be the magic was used to do something bad in the war. I think that's the easiest way to get around that. It doesn't make it a 1-for-1 thing, but then if we do Marty's thing, or this option, human only setting, it's not that magic was ever even outlawed. It's the players would be discovering magic along with other people. It is Call of Cthulhu. You're a normal person who discovers magic, or a werewolf and you have to fight them, kind of thing. And then soup. I think you could go for a kind of approach where the characters all look human, but maybe they use the stats of races maybe similar to their physical build or something. Yeah, that's what I do. They would all look human. But if you wanted to play, for instance, a tiefling, it's at some point in your past, and so at some point in your history, your lineage, someone laid with a devil kind of, or a demon kind of thing. You have a witch way back in the past who the devil gave a baby, or an ASMR kind of thing. You would look human, but you might have different stats. It could also be an instance. We could also do just something very different with character creation, where we try and build alternate human options. We could use the I'm gonna forget who. Their first name is Gabe. I cannot remember their last name for the life of me, and I'm sorry. Or what they go by online, but it's Gabe something, and they created a little questionnaire you go through. It's very well done. That lets you pick stat bumps for the class you play in, and you have like essentially there are 3 different options, and each one gives you a +1 stat bump. So you can get a +2 dex if you're playing a rogue if you pick these 2 things, or you can get kind of a more varied stat bump. And I think Marty and I have talked about the idea of every player character just gets 3 points to spend, and you can't increase anything above +2, but you can do a +2 and a +1, or 3 +1s. The only one that gets weird with is there's at least one dwarf that has 2 +2s in it, because the rest of their abilities kind of stink. But you just account for that. Before today, I was leaning more towards 2 or 3. Well, 2. But yeah, and we've been avoiding option 1 for a while, but I do feel like it might just be the easiest one, which sort of does render a lot of what we've done previously sort of moot, but it's all interesting thought experiment stuff. But then option 1 is also kind of, it's Hellboy-ish. It's, maybe the central powers were messing with something magical, just like the Nazis were in Hellboy / real history, where Hitler was allegedly very much into the occult kind of thing. Sorry, I had a cough. So, Wilhelm is just... He's the one doing the magic. Yeah. I don't know if you were... Okay, Marty in chat. I gotta get a chat. Hey. Hold on a second. I'll do that later. Jay put the chat window in when they did 3D art at the end, and I think that might work on this show too. So I might start capturing the chat, just because for this show especially it is. But I'm also trying to read it, so I don't know. Okay. Marty. It's arguably the quickest path to avoid just making suburbia prohibition. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It would just set this setting very much apart. Yeah, I don't want it to be similar, but I don't mind if there's some overlap. Again, if the end result is very different. If we start to kind of play through different things. But I do think, and I keep coming back to this, that magic and knowledge, the kind of the idea of Lovecraft stories, other than to promote his weird agenda, is, that knowledge is power. Power corrupts. And not even in like a moral, it like literally corrupts your being. It's not just, it's a corrupting force. It's, you shouldn't know this. Ignorance is bliss. Let me read Marty's follow-up, and then there's a Liz quote in the middle. So Marty said the thing about suburbia, which, if you haven't checked out Suburbia yet, there's an episode 0 and episode 1 right now on our YouTube. Episode 2 is this weekend. Sorry, I just scheduled a bunch of tweets, so now the schedule in my head's a little mixed up, because I did out to next week. I did out to Empire of Leave for next week. Marty, which I recognize isn't as much fun, quote unquote, but we have other settings for that kind of fun. I've just never really restricted player option before if it's official. And even Unearthed Arcana, there's only one Unearthed Arcana I won't let people play. It's the Lore Wizard. It's broken. Also, if it's been published in a book, you can't play the Unearthed Arcana version. But this would be a very different kind of game, so let's make it different. Let's see. And then Liz. It might still be better to have magic just existed and just being outlawed. Just have an anti-magic movement alongside the temperance movement. Or we could just have the two settings that are sort of similar, especially since you're putting in Lovecraft and other spookums. Yeah, I definitely think they would have different feels. And I've been trying to... I think all of our campaigns do feel different, I hope. But I've been trying to kind of codify what the differences are in each one, so that if I'm ever lost for what to do, I can just think, this campaign is about X. Go back to X. Play with X. With Task Force Unlikely, it's about found family. It's about fucking up and your family still being there for you. The Star Chasers, it's about destiny. What does destiny mean? Should you just say, fuck you, destiny? You're bullshit. There's no such thing as fate. For Empire of Leaves, it's about being just trash elves. No, it's about tyranny. And power corrupting. Suburbia is about being lost or forgotten And this is about knowledge being terrible. That's a weird way to put it. But, you know, the idea that, yeah, ignorance is bliss. So what is the opposite of that? Oh, and then Phantom Horizons is just a Coen Brothers movie. And, yeah, that's all I want it to be. No, I think it is. I think that's about how people perceive you. And what you really are versus the perception of you. Ugh. I'm a terribly indecisive person. Here's the other thing. These all could be just straight up different settings. Phantom Horizons is about Drake eating a bear. I mean, he's the one who brought it up. Now I'm not sure I'm terribly indecisive. Oh, I can't decide. Okay. Although I did read Liz's comment as Phantom Horizons is about Drake eating a beer at first, and I was like, has he had a beer on stream? No, bear. That's right. Okay. The other option is to just sort of has killed anywhere between 0 and more than 0 people. Yeah. The other thing is, any of these ideas can be folded into the Victorian setting that I was also kind of side working on. And I almost think... See, part of the appeal of this, one of the things I really got stuck in my head, was like a tiefling in a 3-piece suit, like a tiefling mob boss, essentially. But that works in Suburbia, too. Although it's the Grung Mafia in Suburbia. Not that there aren't other kinds of mafia. Sorry, that's probably loud. I need to... Where's my thing that's not loud? Here we go. My fidget thing that doesn't make noise. Okay, let me scroll down here for a second. Let me see if any of these... So then, 1A, magic is and always has been, or magic is outlawed. 1B, magic is unknowable. Stop fidgeting. Okay. Stop tapping. Because the other thing is we could also roll one of these settings out into one of these into another setting that's not even necessarily Lovecraftian. Let's see. Oh, that's right. Happy birthday, Lo. Liz in chat, maybe the thing that happened at the end of World War One was that they used a weapon that released the Elder Gods like how they did it on Adventure Time with the Mushroom War. I will say, I have not watched that much Adventure Time. Seen bits of it, but I'm not familiar with that storyline in particular. I do know that the Ice Wizard guy has a very sad backstory. When there's a vampire bass player. These are and when the dog stretches. These are the things I know, and it's voiced by John DiMaggio. These are the things I know about Adventure Time. And it's Finn the Human. And it's basically D&D. And I should watch it, I know. Because I just listed a bunch of stuff that sounds cool. Okay. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. No, I feel like I was close and now I'm not. Like I feel like we are close. I just feel like I was closer to a thing and now I'm not. And is this interesting? Okay, I'm going to start listing pros and cons. Pros. Cons. Pros. Cons. Pros. Cons. Let's see, ladies in chat. In a nutshell, the Mushroom War was their code for a nuclear war. And that it ended up releasing a lich, that's bad, who ended up being the main antagonist for the first part of the series. Oh. Yeah, that sounds bad. Maybe the thing that happened was that they used a weapon that... So, okay. And it's voiced by Ron Perlman. Bless you, Ron Perlman. Who is it? Oh, it's... I was rewatching bits of Avatar, which I am very excited will be on Netflix soon. And Ron Perlman's in that for like 5 minutes. He's the he's not. Oh, sorry, he's Sozin, and yeah, Sozin's in like one episode in flashbacks. Ron Perlman's the best. Okay, pros: unique, easy to set up. Cons: limits player choice, not D&D-ish. You know what? Hold on. Let me look at something real fast. Come on. I was just thinking. I've got this, Whispers in the Dark, which is tabletop role-playing of investigative horror, leveraging the 5th edition of the world's most popular role-playing game. But it doesn't have... It's like, you don't get a class. You're a person, and you get a background. And there are 10 levels. And yeah, it's like, it's a pretty basic Roll20 system, essentially. But it does have different ancestries. You're all human. But it has, different it does have different ancestries. And the book I ordered from Sandy Peterson has different races in it. But not all of them are like humans. Some of them are like bug people. Although one's a cat. You can be a cat. Like a straight up cat. Have fun, Marty, if you're still watching. But yeah, if you'll be dipped out, have fun. And if you're back, welcome back. Yeah, I every bit I've ever seen from Adventure Time is great, and it's just one of those things where I just missed it. And I like Steven Universe. Steven Universe is apparently amazing. I just missed it. Also, some of those kid shows are hard to find on streaming services. Usually Nickelodeon, and I don't know if Cartoon Network's getting better about that, but Nickelodeon shows are very... Avatar is freaking impossible, and I don't think Korra is moving to Netflix. I think it's just Avatar. Just The Last Airbender. Sorry, they're both Avatars. Which is a shame, because I have relaunched The Last Airbender more than Korra. I've only watched Korra once. But I've seen The Last Airbender several times because it was just on. And it did come at a time when I was just more easily able to watch. I was in, high school and college. So it's just, I could just watch whatever I want. I'll just rent these DVDs from the library. Cartoon Network has their own app, but I think a lot is going on that. Yeah, the new HBO Max seems like they're going to get a lot of stuff. I think you can get can you get the DC Universe stuff on HBO Max? Because I have watched clips of Harley Quinn on YouTube, and I think I've mostly pieced together episodes. And Harley Quinn as a character has never like appealed to me. But that show is hilarious. And it's very funny takes on a lot of different characters. They're not always very accurate takes. Like, their Bane is not very comics accurate. It's very funny. And lots of... Clayface is... Yeah, that show is ridiculous. Ivy's... It's all good. A very compelling version of Kite Man. It's a weird, great show. Anyway... Okay. I am starting to think, and I feel a little bad because I feel like, way a while ago we kind of voted against this part, and now I feel like we're turning back to it. But I kind of feel like option 1 is the way to go. I feel like it's the most unique and interesting way to approach this. I'm very, very torn, because part of me wants to be like showcasing why D&D is a cool system, even for games that aren't typically associated with D&D. So let D&D do all its cool stuff. Don't kind of gut parts of it. But then another part of me is just like, just do whatever you want. And then I do wonder, should we then be playing something like Whispers in the Dark, or even Call of Cthulhu? The reason why we're not playing Call of Cthulhu is I find it hard to run, and I like running D&D more. It is a conundrum most foul. Then again, I did buy this. Why aren't I using it? Oh, I think this is this Prohibition or pre-Prohibition? Prohibition or pre-Prohibition? I went too far. It's reconstruction. Okay. I feel like we're not quite getting anywhere. I'm not. Rather, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Okay. Liz, I don't think you can go wrong either way. It just might be easier to sell players with one or the other, yeah. And okay, so the players for this would be Dan, Timothy, and Jay. I sent them a survey a bit ago. If they are still able to do it. All of them that I am not. It is being designed with them in mind. I think they would be... I think they would roll with whatever we come up with. I feel like we're at a crossroads. And I think we just need to pick one. I rolled a 1 on a d6. No, okay, so let me think about. I think option 1 works best if we as a just prohibition setting. I don't think it works well anywhere else with just humans. I think modern would work, but they weren't interested in modern. Anyway. Survey says majority was not interested in modern. So I think 2 and 3. I mean, 3 is straight Shadowrun, just Prohibition Shadowrun. 2, I think you could work into like a Victorian setting as well. And 3 might be interesting. 3 might be interesting to set it post World War II. To do the 50s and 60s, just because that's that's an interesting idea. Sorry, OBS changed a bit ago where there's now a little red dot when you're recording. But every time I look down, I freak out because I think that's my connection, which is a green, yellow, or red box. Red is bad, obviously. So every time I look down, I occasionally freak out. And I'm like, oh, we're not recording. Or we're not streaming. Okay. What if set post WW2 Nazis, occult, and so forth. You get it. Nazis pulled the Royal Hellboy. I'll know what this means. So this would be set in the 50s and 60s, and then it's like kind of, waving that or riding that cultural change of, so associated with the 60s, hippies and stuff like that. But you incorporate now, in addition to all of these young people are being weird according to the establishment. And now also there are elves kind of like that. And I feel like it kind of fits better than like the 20s. Okay, so I think we're going to... Option 3 is its own setting. I'm going to copy it. I'll put it over here. I know. Thanks, Google. Access. Sorry, you cannot see. Google Docs auto-generates names sometimes of documents. And often they'll take like the first line of something. So this is just option 3. The spell that the Axis powers cast created. You could also do all the cloak and dagger stuff with Cold War and such. And yeah, how is that different now that you can like cast invisibility and stuff? I think this works way better as a... Oh, damn, that's the title. Now we need to think of a catchy title for this. Right now, I'm going to call it Cloak and Dagger. Because I think that works well, Liz. Cloak and Dagger. And it sort of... it still evokes, you know, a fantasy setting. Cloak and Dagger. Cold War espionage. And hippie stuff. This drink is somehow making me more thirsty. It's because it's regular Coke. I don't want regular Coke. But that's what they gave me. It's fine. Okay. I think... Oh, that's graceful. Kind of think. Okay, so let me delete option 3. Option 2 is interesting to me. Hold on, let's see. File. New document. Cloak and Dagger. 60s. Cold War. I'm going to have to remember that. Okay. Option 2. Magic has always been real, but the glamour restricting it and protecting the world was broken. Okay, we're going to delete all of this. Was broken. Because I think if this is sort of Victorian... I think that's interesting because it's sort of, you know, fine society and stuff like that, and how does it deal with suddenly there is, you know, suddenly all this occult stuff that people were sort of into at the time is definitely real. Victorian occult and fine society. I don't know if there's enough there for a full setting. I didn't need a name for this. Victorian D&D, occult, and fine society. But okay, so I think we're gonna go with option 1. I think we're gonna go with human-only setting, where player races are restricted, and it's mostly just the normal timeline. So then that leads us to 1A or 1B. Was magic revealed in World War I? Or is magic something that it does exist, but it is not widely known it exists? So is magic outlawed because of the actions of World War I? Is there both the Volstead and Volstagg Acts? Or is magic just unknowable? I think there are merits to both ways. I think 1B leads to a more kind of classic Cthulhu Lovecraftian experience, whereas 1A, it's almost a more it's a more kind of prohibition focused experience where you're essentially playing a bootlegger but for magic. Boot speller. I don't know. Okay. Okay, let me think. I guess it depends on what you want from the campaign. Maybe it should be something the party decides together. That's a good point. Maybe we can get it. Maybe that is something that should be decided in a session 0. It's an excellent point, Liz. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I can hear the video game my wife is playing in the other room. Just made me laugh for a second. Okay. And there's the cat howling. Okay. I feel like we did a lot of elimination today, and that's good. We definitely narrowed and refocused, I think. Let me. Oops. Hold a second. Oh no, that's not. I just searched in my Google Drive for Drive. That's not what I want. Is that not? Do I not have that in here? Really? Why are you coming up when I search for that? Yeah, I'm not involved. Okay, oh, maybe probably just search for Cthulhu. That's not how you spell that. Mythos. Nope. Sorry, I'm trying to find the PDF of this thing I ordered. How can I get my account? Here we go. My book is still processing through them, which is annoying, but whatever. Okay. I can at least do the PDF. Okay, so here are the player races. Let's see. Dreamlands cat. It's literally a cat. I would totally let someone play that. Ghoul. Oh, they're like weird gnolls. Don't think I would do that. Man, these are long. Yeah, they're like... Oh, right, because this is presuming you're playing in a traditional D&D setting. Okay, 3-armed snake men. Zoog are weird. They're like, yeah, real weird. Okay, otherworldly humans. Okay, so there's, let everybody be one of these. Okay, so there's, this book's got 3 different kinds of human, or two different kinds of humans. 2 different kinds of humans and cats, which I'd let people play, and then a bunch of class options. Okay. Oops. I would be a monster if I didn't let someone be a cat. I would 100% be a cat. You're like a Dreamlands cat, and you can take a class, you can take a sorcerer class that lets you function as a very like powerful familiar to another player, which I think is rad. And something I would personally be into because I like playing kind of support. I like playing healers and stuff like that when I do play. And you still get all your cool sorcerer stuff, so it's not like it's not like you're just a sidekick. Okay. Pardon me if those noises are annoying. But I just won't upload this episode if they are. Okay, so. Okay, yeah, I think we're really getting to a good place. Okay, so. That is a question for. What is it? It's Shift Control V. Okay. Okay, so let me put down the defining kind of characteristics of the setting. Pardon me. Oops. Okay, let's see. I think all other gods have been. Let me move this up. Okay. No, that was the other one. Pardon me. I gotta sneeze. Pardon me, sorry. Okay. I mean, that won't be quite here. You over here. You can't see me do that. Okay, let's see. Thank you. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else out there is suffering from allergies, but mine have been pretty bad today. Took a pill and yeah. Sometimes it's just not enough. Okay. I think we've gotten rid of most of this stuff. Yeah. Some of this stuff is interesting, but okay, let me copy some of this stuff to put it in here, just in case I ever want to use it again. Otherwise, I'm going to delete it. I still think that's good. You know, you still have sort of an X-Files organization working for the proto FBI. Okay. No, I kept her. I was like, why is that a different color? I just noticed that. It's actually easier to see on that screen than it is on my. It's brighter on the screen I have OBS on is that better screen. My screens are both old screens from work. One of them is a ratio that is a widescreen ratio, but that's not used anymore. And the other one is a square. It's not a big butt square. It's flat screen-ish, but it's still a square. Which is actually perfect for Andy Makes a Friend, because then I don't have to do any weird resizing of the box on the screen. I just have to shrink it a little bit. And you can't see my full screen, but you're missing my tabs. That's not a big deal. You see the content. Okay. I feel like we did 3 episodes and we sort of got to a very basic place, but a very good workable place, and I'm happy with it. And we got a lot of good ideas that I think will be useful in other things. It's just, and I think it was important to talk them out, because sometimes things just don't work out the way you envisioned, and you get there. You know, I feel like it's still a good kind of thought experiment and stuff. And it's always nice to be creative. Okay, so here we are, American Dreamlands. The X-Gods, all gods have been true, and certain ideals and personifications have such strong zeal and belief, they basically become gods. For example, the American Dream. See American Gods by Neil Gaiman. That's Marty's favorite book. He's not here to yell at me. He hates that book. Let's see. All other gods have been eaten by great old ones. This was caused by them falling from favor and belief over time, causing them to be weakened enough for the great old ones to eat. And also, I think this kind of plays in to the idea. Hold on, let me Google something real fast. And it also And it kind of, you know, this idea really plays into the notion that God is dead. The Great War is the war that killed God. And then Columbia is the one remaining goddess because of, you know, kind of America after the war. Now, if I really wanted to... Hold on, do I still have that window open? Oh, good. I still have this window open. Okay, let's see. No, it's Black Monday. Right? Black Tuesday. Black Monday is a different thing. Because we could... because if we really wanted to, we could play in the Great Depression. And I don't think that's as fun. I think that's more depressing. No pun intended. Okay. But kind of the idea that, like, if the players lose, if Columbia is eaten, that's the Great Depression. Okay. It's a human-only setting where player race is restricted, and it's mostly just normal people. It's mostly just a normal timeline. Yeah, I think it's something that, you know, we can have certain other playable options, just because, you know, even in Lovecraft, the deep ones in where the hell? I keep wanting to say New Brunswick. It's not New Brunswick. Shadows over... And I keep wanting to say Drift Chapel, and that's not right either. Shadows over... Innsmouth. I got there before I even finished Googling it. In Innsmouth, Jesus. Deep ones are... People just think they're weird humans, but they're fishmen. Or fishmen, half fishmen, half people. So you could have a Triton and just be like, they're deep ones. Or aquatic elves or whatever. You know, you just have weird sallow-skinned people. In name only. In all but name, a deep one shows up in Star Chasers. Night Dragon craze. We're still working on American Dreamlands, and a lot has changed since you were last year, and we've kind of reverted back to an earlier version. So, but thank you for joining us again. We're kind of going over going over what has changed and what we've been doing, and I can't type. Oh, that's why. I was like, why did I spell belief and zeal wrong? It's because I accidentally put a word in the middle. Really? Yeah, I do think the proper 20s are better than the 30s for this. I think that will work better. But so we've got, let's see, where was it? It's a human only setting, sort of. We're gonna work with players to get races and concepts they like in a human guise, or Okay, so all gods have been true, and certain ideals and personifications have such strong zeal and belief, they basically become. Share away, Dragon Craze. Such strong in belief that they basically become gods. For example, the American Dream. See similar concept in American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Or, by similar, I mean the same concept. Wow. All other gods were eaten by great old ones. This was caused by them falling from favor and belief over time, causing them to be weakened enough for the great old ones to eat. God is dead. The Great War is the war that killed God, in this case. It finished off a bunch of them. And maybe gods have been eaten all throughout history. When Rome fell, so did Jupiter. The Romans, or Latin, does not have a J. Jupiter. When Rome fell, so did Jupiter, etc. I still spelled Jupiter wrong. Okay. Columbia is the one remaining goddess and remains strong due to her nature as the goddess of dreams and democracy. American. She is even so. She's weakened after the Great War. This is a human-only setting where player race is restricted, and it's mostly just a normal just our normal timeline. What time is it? Okay. Our normal timeline. I would work with players to get races and concepts they like in a human guise or passing for human. I also think I would have to try and figure out a kind of level 0 thing where, and I think it would just be you don't pick a class until we do something. I don't know, but I don't know. I think that would have to be something I'd talk about with the players, and it would be sort of dependent on this. I think that would have to be established in session 0. Let's see. Was magic secret before Prohibition, but something during World War I? Let me change that to the Great War. I'm going to try and remember to always do that. The Great War exposed its use and led to its ban. So 1A, magic is outlawed. In America, magic is outlawed as an attempt to... that's sort of a random DM idea. The Volstagg Act. 1B, magic is unknowable. Closer to normal history. Okay. And I'm gonna decide. We're gonna decide that in session 0, which I'll have to see. Maybe we can do next month. It's set in 1924. We're not gonna do that. Okay. So we got that, and then the other thing Dragon Craze is we essentially broke off some of the other ideas and created sort of very basic things from new settings. That's something else you missed. Let me read the stream. that is, as Liz said, an oddly specific and pretty cool dream. Also, Dream Mom is neat. Yeah, no, that sounds like the start of a D&D setting. Like, yeah, your mom says, "Come with me." Shows you the room. Magic is real, by the way, and hands you some magic thorax. No, I didn't mean that. Stormbringer? What's Thunderstrike? What's the name of Thor's axe? You should play a barbarian. I like playing. I do not get to play very often. But one of the Stormbreaker. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And what's Elric? Now I'm confused. Elric's sword is Stormbringer, right? I have the book. Where's the book? Stormbringer is Elric's sword. Stormbreaker is Thor's axe. And Mjolnir is his hammer. And Thunderstrike has a mace. And a ponytail. I like barbarians. I don't get to play very often. And I usually like to play healers. But one of the last times I got to play, which was still like 2 years ago, I don't get to play her character very often. I get to DM every week here on the Life of Dragon Inn. Was a ancestral guardian barbarian, and I styled him as a gentleman barbarian who folded his glasses before he raged. He was very fun. It's fun. I also think it's fun to play slightly against the type. But it's also fun to just scream and shoot lightning out of your face as a Storm Herald barbarian. Okay. This is good, I think, to bring 2 players. I know it doesn't look like a lot. It's not like, hold on, let me pull up. It's not like this. But this has also been my homebrew for several years now, where I've been building it up to 13 pages. Although I added most of that this year. Whoops. I don't know if you can see my cats or not. I don't have this window open. I minimize this. Can you see my cats? No, you can't. Okay. I have a very cute picture of my cats. Technically better raise Bill's weapons since they had to battle see who was the true Thor. Yeah. But in the movies, he just builds Stormbreaker out of the dying star thingy. I've seen that movie. Infinity War. I almost said Endgame. That's not right. Yeah, but in the comics, it's better at Bill's weapon because better at Bill. Yeah, Odin just hands out hammers at some point because he gives one to Better Bill, he gives one to Thunderstrike. Ultimate Thor had a weird hammer axe. The Thor Core. There's Future Thor. I always loved in the 2099 Marvel Universe that Thor is worshipped as it, like Thor, the cult of Thor. Thorites are a fairly dominant religion because, yeah, Asgardians showed up on Earth and saved it a bunch of times. We're going to worship Thor. There was Frog Thor. Throg. And there are 2 different versions of Frog Thor. There is Thor when he was turned into a frog, and there is a frog who wields a splinter of Mjolnir because he was worthy. He turns into Frog Thor. He's a pet Avenger. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this is good. I think we're at a place like I was saying, it's not this, but that took me a long time to do, and this is a good. Pardon me. This is a very good starting place for a session 0. We'll do a session 0. I'll have a month, most likely, to kind of fill in a bunch of stuff. And I usually do that off screen. Like, once we have session 0s, I typically start building off screen just so players don't see some of this stuff. Chat, I like the new Thor where he has the power cosmic. I have not read comics in a long time. So is Thor like a Herald of Galactus now? Does he not have Mjolnir? I know the last time I read a Thor comic, Jane Foster was still Thor, so I don't think that's true anymore, but maybe it is. And Thor was Odin's son, because, well, he's still Thor. He's just not Thor. Okay. Yeah, comics got too expensive. They were too expensive a habit for me at some point. And it got to the point where I had a big stack of them I hadn't read. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. And then my new, more expensive hobby. I try and be good. Although my D&D shelf is currently full. It has overflow. It's not all 5th edition, though. If it was all 5th edition, at some point, it will probably be all 5th edition products. Not yet. I still have some old products on here that I just find useful. Okay, Okay. Try and schedule this soon. Let's see. Let's see. Is there anything with Cloak and Dagger we want to... Another great comic book pair. I like Cloak and Dagger. I might be the only one. I don't watch the show, though. I've never seen that. But apparently it's good. I don't know, it looked really bad, and then it premiered, and I heard enough people be like, it's good. And I'm like, oh, I was not expecting that. Just because it didn't look very comic booky. But somebody showed up in, like, a recent season, and I was like, what? Really? Now I'm curious. Hold on. This is the part of the show where Andy just randomly talks to himself. Cloak and Dagger TV series. Let's see. Cast and characters. Despair? Really? Oh, you know what? No, I'm thinking of Runaways. Baron Samedi shows up? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, Runaways. Who shows up in Runaways? It's like Elizabeth Taylor. Or not Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Hurley. It's Morgan Le Fay. That's right. I've only watched one episode of Runaways, and I did not like it, but it was the pilot, so I should maybe give it a second chance. But also, Alex is somehow in it still, and I'm just like, what? So I guess they're stretching the first graphic novel out either really long, or they're just gone totally off the rails from the comics. The first one was not that accurate to the comics anyway. Let's see. He has now taken the mantle of Allfather in the comics with Odin's passing. He has to take the mantle of Herald so they can protect the universe from a new threat. A new threat that may turn into the crossover of DC Marvel Comics later this year. Yeah, I did see that there was like hints in a DC comic book where they like explicitly mention Thor or a God of Thunder or whatever, because you can eat Thor. Thor is a mythical figure. You can mention him. But Thor's the Allfather, because that Thor has become the Allfather before he dies in the 90s or early 2000s. He becomes he becomes the Allfather again. I think he has to rip out either one or both of his eyes. Because Odin has to rip out his eye, and I can't remember if Thor had to one-up him or not. But, that was by, I think that was Mike Oeming. I could be wrong about that. Okay. Whoa. Yeah, you're getting deep into Thor lore now. Okay, let's see. I'm going to look up Thor. No, I don't want real Thor. Stupid Wikipedia. Sorry. That made me laugh. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Wikipedia's not going to be the best for this anyway. Okay, let's see. Let me clean up this and then the Victorian one, and then I'm going to log off. Not Graceful. We'll work on you next time, Graceful. So I got a lot of crap to add. Bide's done. Okay, Cloak and Dagger. Tentative name. Okay. During World War II, the Axis powers... what was... I'll go back to Wikipedia for a second. Let me see. Nazi occult. It's not going to give me anything. Occultism in the Nazis. Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking to see if there was... words, Andy, use them. I was just trying to see if there was like a... any kind of name I could kind of attach to this. Some interesting looking books and such. And other Wikipedia articles with black sun symbol. Oh, it's a Nazi symbol. That makes sense. It's that sun wheel, essentially. Okay, let's see. I'm going to have to read some of this stuff later. Look up. Let's see. Sorry, let me... Although, that's not getting Eddie on a watch list. No. I'm just becoming everyone's father. I'm looking up things about World War II. Okay. Okay, here we go. I think... Well, let me write down both. I think Thule Society is what we're gonna... Do they show... Are they who explicitly show up in Hellboy? Yeah. I thought so. Hello. Ultima Thule is a doomsday cult from our Stars Without Number game, so maybe I can tie them together. Is that how you spell that? Wow, yeah, it's close enough. Okay, let's see. The spell the Axis power has cast created and unleashed magic in the world, altering people and creating a connection to the stars that allows people to access forgotten and powerful arcane techniques. Okay. Okay, and then so that would have been, so it's set in the 60s during the Cold War and hippie movements. My Wikipedia search history is all over the place today. Let's see. Hippie. Pardon me. Okay. Hippies are a little late. Or, well, like, later hippies, because there's, yeah, when's, what the hell, Ken Kesey. Mary Price, yeah. Because that might be good. Yeah, because I don't want to do, like, maybe not Summer of Love, but more like, almost more like extreme, like Ken Kesey kind of thing. Yeah, I gotta read. I just had it open. What was that book called? The Electric Kool-Aid Test. I think I had to read that in college. I remember being weird. Let me write down. Early hippies, Ken Kesey. What's the who am I thinking? Allen Ginsberg. He was just the sorry. Although I know he's not like a hippie, he's a beat poet, but yeah, that sort of, I definitely want because maybe, yeah, mainstream hippieism, is that a thing? Mainstream hippies kind of not that, sort of definitely the more counter and counterculture. Let's do counterculture. So yeah. Espionage and counter culture playing hand in hand. Okay. A spell. Shadowrun style. Altered people and created the fantasy races and magic. Oh, and speaking of Thor, when did Thor first appear? 62. I don't know why Thor just popped into my head, but I had an idea. I can't even remember what it was, though. Okay. It's getting late. Although I just drank all that soda, so now I'm like... But... No, sorry. So I don't know if it's a good idea to use... Okay, so Liz and Chad. I don't know if it's a good idea to use hippies as the main instigators of magic. They tended to be more of a peace-loving group and wanted societal change. It would send the wrong message. I'm not trying to... That's not what I'm trying... It's the idea that... I just want it to... I want the kind of the backdrop of... There's a lot of societal change happening in the 60s. And so magic would have come about at the end... or during World War One. So this is, 20 years after that. So the government is using magic for espionage and Cold War tactics. And what does it look like when groups like hippies or beat poets also have access to magic? I'm not trying to make them... I'm not trying to... Yeah, but, kind of the thing of, like, what does... Because we also have Vietnam happening in the 60s. So what does the U.S. government use magic for in Vietnam? What do protesters protest using? How do they protest using magic in Vietnam? The civil rights movement. I'm not trying to like have them, but it's sort of the idea that magical freedoms, even like removing the oppression from the government, focusing on healing magic. Focusing on druidic, the beginning of the environmental movement in the 60s and 70s. That kind of thing. I'm not trying to say, like... Does that make sense? I'm not trying to be like, hippies, bad. I think hippies are easy to make fun of. But no, like... And Ken Kesey is an extreme example. He wanted to dose everyone with acid. Like... And what happens when... that guy has access to magic, kind of thing. Players... Let's see. Players would be more like Woodward and Bernstein. Yeah, I think it would definitely depend on... This would also depend on Session Zero kind of thing. Do you want to play Magic Spies? that's cool. We won't, we don't have to get into Vietnam or anything. You're just in Moscow, or you're in East Berlin or whatever, and you're a magical spy. Or do you want to play someone like an investigative reporter who's sort of uncovering government corruption? Do you want to play beat poets? Sort of someone in the... I just even had it open. The Merry Pranksters kind of thing. So I think that would be... But I just think that what all of this was to say was, I think the 60s are just a really interesting time to explore, because it's such a reflection of the 50s, which are such a reflection of World War II. It's, after World War II, people fought so hard to return to normal. So it's that sort of Stepford ideal of normal, white picket fences, moving out to the suburbs, something that didn't really happen before World War II. The suburbs are all 50s and onward, and it's like they're returning to a time that never existed, and then the 60s being such a radical departure from that, where mass media is starting to become a thing. So Woodward and Bernstein can blow open something, where we have television that can go, we have cameras and film crews that can easily go to Vietnam and be like, this is what's happening in Vietnam. Whereas in World War II rather, you saw what the government wanted you to see in limited film reels at the beginning of movies. So I just think that it's an interesting idea that then what does magic look like then, especially if it's new? It kind of goes with all of the technological advancements of the time. These amazing things. What happens if magic is also developing then? Again, I'm not trying to say anything one way or the other about, hippies being like instigators of magic or anything like that. Like, it's just, what do all of these groups do with magic kind of thing? Because they societal change and stuff. Because what do civil rights groups do with magic? What do gay rights groups do with magic in this time? It's the great equalizer, or is it? It's, because you still have to, if it's a lot of wizards, and the government has a lot of wizards because they can pay people to learn magic, then it's still a class thing of wizards are classist, because they are. But then sorcerers and warlocks are sorcerers are random. Or are they? Is it bloodlines that you can try and cultivate? Then that's weird. Eugenics things. And creepy. And that's a bad. Eugenics are bad. I'm going to go on the record and say eugenics bad. I know it's controversial. I'm sorry I got political for saying the thing that's really obvious. Okay, but we're starting to get into a brand new thing. I don't know if I quite like Cloak and Dagger as the name yet, just because what if it's not Cold War associated? I'll have to figure that out. This is we're not getting anywhere on that today. It's past 9:30, so let me start to log out. Thank you for joining me. Feel like we're in a really good place. God said Eaton's. God had been eat. No, it's still eaten. Okay. I feel like we're in a good place for American Dreamland. I'll probably start moving into a session 0 for this, so watch out for that soon. This week, the Star Chasers are back on Wednesday. Jay is back at 3D Art at the Inn on Friday. Yes. Sorry, time means nothing anymore. I don't remember when things are. And Suburbia is back on Sunday. Check me out on the DMs Guild. It's still Play It Forward. You can just search my name, Andy Hatton. I have 4 products on there. 2 of them are $1, even less now because of the sale. One of them is Pay What You Want. The other one's free, and it will always be free, so go download those. Timothy and Soup have something in the Eat the Rich anthology. Please check that out. And Soup has something in the Princess Project. Also check that out. Follow us all on Twitter. All the info's down there. Follow us on YouTube. And follow us on Twitch. Hit a button on your screen, as Marky likes to say. Interact, please, in any way you can. Yeah. Have a great night, everybody. Time is fake. Bye.